This program is made possible in part by a production grant from Phillips Buick GMC.
Want to save money servicing your vehicle? Visit Phillips Buick GMC, your Buick GMC certified service dealer. For oil changes, tire repairs, or maintenance, you get more than fast, reliable service. You get fair pricing and quality work done the first time by factory-trained technicians you can trust. And with 48 service bays, no appointments are necessary. Phillips Buick GMC, your Buick GMC certified service dealer, just south of the Villages.
Welcome to the Leesburg High School Sports Buzz. I'm your host, Ashley Hunt. I'm here with the head coach of the Yellow Jackets, Randy Trivers. Coach, you guys came off of a big win last week at South Lake, a 34-27 victory. It was a key district matchup. We talked about it some the week before. And to keep your playoff hopes alive, it was a must-win, and there were a few other things that had to fall in place. If you could real quick, just give us an update on where we are in the district and what the playoff hopes are.
Well, as you said, this was a must-win for us to keep our playoff hopes alive. Very, very similar to a year ago. We were in the same situation. We had two district losses, as we had this year, to East Ridge and to Evans. We were able to beat Lake Mineola, and then this Friday able to beat South Lake, which puts us in a position to be potentially either the district runner-up or be in the district tiebreaker. So for the district runner-up, I believe that would be a South Lake victory versus East Ridge, which would make us the district runner-up. We would be in a district tiebreaker if East Ridge beats South Lake, and of course Evans beats Lake Mineola. If Lake Mineola wins, I believe that we do not have a chance to get in. So it's a lot of different scenarios where we kind of have taken care of step one going into last week, which was to get the victory versus South Lake, and now we have to see how everything else unfolds.
So still a few more things that need to fall in place for us to get there, but the first key to that equation has happened, and obviously the Yellow Jackets fans should be Evans fans for at least a week, and then and hopefully come back and watch us. I guess we wouldn't have a chance to play them later in the playoffs the way that the brackets are set up, but watch us in the playoffs.
Potentially.
Mm-hmm. So, well, Coach, senior night for the Eagles, South Lake, very windy night. I think the old hurricane that's out there in the Atlantic right now spun some wind off that way, and it was an extremely windy night. I was up in the press box, and there were papers blowing everywhere, and I can imagine how windy it was down in the field. But like we said before, it was a must-win for the Jackets, and you guys were able to pull it off. First quarter, we come back. Leesburg gets the ball to start the game. Big run by Benton. Jefferson, it was either Jefferson or Falconer had a nice catch. I can't remember who it was, but one of the two of them had a nice catch.
Brian Jefferson, I believe.
I believe it was Jefferson, yeah. And then fake toss to Benton in the flats. Jefferson gets a reverse down to the 13, and before you know it, to cap off the drive where they're knocking on the goal line, Leesburg ends up 3rd and 7 from inside of the 10. Fake screen handoff to Benton. Good for a Leesburg touchdown. Yeah,
very nice. There's Brian Jefferson on the catch, I think you were speaking of earlier, from Andre Mitchum. Very nice play there. And then here's Brian Benton going in for the score. So very nice opening drive for us. As you said, the wind was a factor, and we actually had to change some of the things that we maybe wanted to do in that opening drive due to the winds being so strong. We felt like it could be a factor in the passing game, but our guys did a nice job of executing when we needed to, and you saw the nice throw there by Mitchum to Jefferson. So the wind didn't affect it that much on that particular play.
Yeah, it was definitely a nice play call. So Leesburg gets off to a great early start to go up 7-0. And to me, this entire game, and we're going to get into more of the highlights, obviously, but the entire game, even though it ends up a one-score game or one-score difference in the victory there, the entire game, I always felt like, I don't know what it was, it's just the feeling of the game there, that we were in control and that we were going to be able to control the outcome of the game.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's nice to feel that way as a fan. As a coach, I never quite feel that certain, but we did feel like we had some things working in our favor, but I think that they are so so dynamic offensively with some of the players that they have, that they could strike at any time, as you saw, as the game went on. And then there were certainly some calls that didn't go our way, some of the holding penalties and so forth that were, would work to stall some of our drives in the second half that boy, made me a little bit nervous.
Southlake's first drive, they come out. Leesburg picks up where they left off from the last game. I think it was a third and long. Trayvon Bell comes up with a key interception to get the Jackets the ball back.
Yeah, big play by Trayvon Bell to really, help sway it in our favor. We've been talking all year long about turnovers and the turnover ratio and how that's the difference in these games, in the close football games, the team that can protect the football versus the team that protect it and take the ball away. And here we did a great job of getting a takeaway, the tip there, and then the interception there by Trey Bell, and a nice return there after the interception.
So the Jackets get the ball back. Great field position on. There was actually a penalty called at the end of the play there, and ended up with the ball on about our own 35. And Bennett comes out with a couple of nice runs. Mitchum has a couple of keepers there, but it was really Benton that was ultimately able to cap off the score, or the touchdown there, to march in for a touchdown. Puts Leesburg up 13-0. The extra point attempt is actually blocked. And then Southlake comes back, gets the ball on the ensuing kickoff on their own 22nd, or on 27, and Jackets come out great defensively, but ultimately unable to hold off Southlake from punching the ball in, and Southlake gets their first score of the night. So about halfway through the first half, maybe early into the second quarter, Jackets are up 13-7.
Right. You mentioned Brian Benton earlier, and Brian had a fantastic game, as he has in many of our games this season, and certainly in our wins. When we've won, he's really seemed to have played really, really well, both running the ball and receiving the ball, and he did a nice job for us, as you said, capping off that drive, the second drive there. But the defense, I thought, played well, throughout. There's Benton's touchdown right there, and I thought the defense, played well, did a really good job. And when we really needed the defense to make plays later on in the game, and we were able to come up with a few big plays to get some stops. There you see Jordan Tucker harassing the quarterback, as he's done so well all year long. And just the team is really coming together, I think, at the right time with the way we're playing good team defense. There's Jeremy Jones, who had an outstanding game, coming down from the safety position to make the stop there.
And I tell you one thing that I thought was big on the Trayvon Bell interception. We were able to punch the ball in the end zone after that. And it's nice to get interceptions and turnovers, but to ultimately go out and be able to put points on the board in those situations is certainly a big thing.
Yes, one of the things we've been really harping on and talking about is finishing drives and capitalizing on another team's errors. As you mentioned before, and in the games that we've lost, we've had trouble getting down into the inside of the opponent's 20 or inside their 30 and not coming away with points. But did a nice job in that situation, as you mentioned, of taking advantage of the turnover.
So like I mentioned, Leesburg's up 13-7, only up by 6. We had the unfortunate, I think it was a PAT that was blocked by Southlake, so we're up by a touchdown and get the ball back after Southlake's able to punch the ball in. So it's a 13-7 game. The very next possession by the Jackets is one that wouldn't last very long, and in a good way. Brian Jefferson has a huge catch for a touchdown. It was second and long, I believe, for about a 67-yard touchdown, puts the Jackets up 19-7.
Yeah, I think this one is actually Adrian Falconer. Brian has one later on in the game. It's Adrian Falconer here on the 67-yard reception there from Andre Mitchum. Just a nice look where we had a one-on-one matchup there. We thought we could take advantage of, and Adrian did a great job of running the route and giving Andre plenty of room to fit that ball in there on the sideline there. And that was one where I was a little concerned with the wind, but we had enough of a lull in the wind there for that ball to get to Adrian pretty accurately.
Yeah, it was a great catch by Adrian, and we went for 2 on that play. It looked like we were going to pick it up, but at the last minute the ball got jarred out of the receiver's hands. And so Leesburg's up 19-7, and all I could think about as a fan, and I'm sure you as a coach had this in the back of your mind too, is hopefully that blocked extra point's not going to come back and cost us.
Yeah. I mean, you always you're concerned about those things as a coach. If you miss one early, an extra point, do you go for one? Do you go for two? Do you try to make up the points that you missed? And certainly those are some of the decisions, tough decisions you have to make as a head football coach. But you hate to ever miss a PAT because these games are so nip and tuck. When you have an opponent like South Lake that it's going to be, by the end of the game, it's going to be a close one. You just hope that 1 point doesn't make a difference.
South Lake gets the ball back, and a few plays into the next drive, they actually fumble the ball, turn it over. There was a great recovery. I believe it was Jermaine Gatson ended up getting the ball. Mitchum comes out, has a nice few runs, ultimately caps it off with a Mitchum touchdown, puts Leesburg up 26-7.
Yeah, it was a great play by our defense, and thought it was just huge to get that turnover in their territory. And then here you see Andre Mitchum with a very nice run. Good balance and strength there to stay on his feet as he was working towards the sideline, and there he is here getting into the end zone. So, a couple good plays by the quarterback there.
So South Lake on the ensuing kickoff gets the ball back in pretty decent field position. It was that point that right before the end of the half where it looks like, look, if we can hold them out and go in with a nice cushion at halftime, that we'd be in pretty good shape. However, with that great field position, South Lake had an opportune time to get in there and score, but it was then when the defense really turned up the pressure. I believe there were several key pressures by Jordan Tucker. Yeah,
there you see Jordan right there, and once Jordan gets going, you're in an obvious pass situation. He's a tough guy to block, and you see him there, getting after the quarterback, and it was nice for us to be able to put a stop to him there before the half and not allow them to get in.
So Jordan obviously gets the credit on that play that we saw for the sack on that intentional grounding. That they called intentional grounding. You couldn't see that on the film, but so he gets credit for that sack. It brings him up to how many sacks for the season?
Oh boy, I think Jordan's at 17, around 17 sacks for the season. So
that's obviously impressive. Yeah, a really big deal. So Leesburg goes in at halftime. That last play there ended the half for South Lake. Leesburg goes in at halftime up 26-7. Things are looking great, but as we alluded to start the game or to start the show, South Lake was able to work themselves back into the game. But you go into half at 26-7. What are your thoughts?
Well, I mean, we're feeling good. You just, as a coach, you want to make sure that your players and your staff doesn't, pull back a little bit. Get complacent and feel like, oh, we got the lead, we got it made. That's a good football team that we're playing. A team that a year ago we were up early on for a couple touchdowns. They came back. And I think scored 3 unanswered and took a big lead against us, and then we had to come back in the end to win it. And I reminded our players of that this team that we're facing is not going to give up. They're going to come out and they're going to fight. It's their senior game, and these guys, just because they're down a little bit, they're not going to stop. It's got to be a 0-0 halftime deal. We got to come out and play hard. And sure enough, South Lake did come out in the second half and play very well.
Yeah, so South Lake gets the ball to start the second half, as has been the case all year. The defense comes out and plays pretty well in the second and in the first possession. Unfortunately, there was kind of a long, methodical drive by the Eagles, and they were able to punch the ball in on that first drive.
Yeah, and that's kind of what you hoped wouldn't happen, when you come out in the third quarter. But unfortunately, for us, we were playing a pretty darn good football team that was able to make some things happen for themselves there. And they have some, when you look at their quarterback and their backfield and their receivers, I mean, they have some guys that can really hurt you and make some plays.
So South Lake's not able to make the PAT. They actually missed the PAT, so that's why we have this kind of weird score in the game. But so Leesburg's up 26-13 early into the third quarter. Leesburg comes out and gets the ball in pretty good field position. I think we actually ended up. They tried maybe an onside kick, South Lake did, and we ended up with the ball on the 50-yard line. However, we come out and Mitchum's able to pick up a nice 4th and short, and we're moving the ball downfield. However, when it feels as though Leesburg's starting to gain some momentum and possibly going to punch this thing into the end zone, Mitchum ends up throwing an interception.
Yeah, and that was a drive where we had it going there. We had it in their territory, and they just made a nice play. Corner made a nice play on the ball, and sometimes the other team has good players and good things going too, and they were able to make a play on us, and just good for us that we didn't turn it over too many times, and we were able to come up with enough defensive stops to win.
So after the ensuing kickoff, Leesburg, or excuse me, it wasn't a kickoff, it was the interception. Southlake gets the ball on about their own 20, 19-yard line, somewhere in that ballpark, and the defense comes out and really turns it up.
Yeah, right here you see Jermaine Gaston, who's done a great job all year long, and Demetric Blue and some of the crew right there making a nice defensive stop on the sideline. Jeremy Jones, who I mentioned earlier, had a fantastic game as far as some of the big hits that he had and the tackles that he made. So I thought that the defense at certain times we bent a little bit as far as giving up some yardage and some first downs, some time of possession, but there were also some times the defense really stepped forward and made some plays when we really needed them to.
So there we are about halfway through the third quarter, and something unusual happens. For the first time in the game by either team, Southlake punts the ball. And I thought that was a pretty remarkable moment that up until the third quarter, neither team had punted the ball. And so Southlake punts the ball. It wasn't a great punt. Leesburg ends up getting the ball back in great field position, I believe, on the Southlake 41. Leesburg gets backed up on a holding penalty, and then it must have been in the water or something you guys were drinking after the half, because Leesburg punts the ball away for the first time yourselves.
Right. Yeah, so it's nice that you don't have to punt much from our end, but we'd like to make the other team punt a little bit more. But special teams is such a huge part of a game like this, and when you do punt, you hope to change the field position in your favor. And you mentioned the punt by Southlake wasn't a great one, which really helps us. And even if it doesn't help you in that immediate drive, it helps you over the course of the quarter or the half of the game, just the amount of yardage that you have to end up making up. So the special teams are a huge part of us being successful.
So Southlake gets the ball back, and this drive is actually starting at the end of the third quarter, takes us into the fourth quarter. Some nice plays. Austin Walker had a remarkable tackle there, and a couple other defensive plays, but ultimately Southlake on I believe a big run is able to kind of march the ball down the field and punch it in, and to make the score. Leesburg, I think at that point it was Leesburg 26, Southlake 20. I could have that wrong, but Leesburg's up by about a touchdown at that point in time.
Yep. And again, it was one of those games where you mentioned earlier how we felt going in at halftime with the lead. I never really felt completely comfortable with this game. We just seemed like Southlake just kept hanging in there. They kept making certain plays on offense, and when they came up with a couple key stops defensively, where we in the first half, I think we scored almost every time that we had the football offensively, whereas in the second half we were not nearly as proficient as far as getting the ball in the end zone. So made you a little bit nervous, as we're going through this game, and Southlake's offense is doing some pretty good things, and offensively we're stalling for whatever reason, whether it was penalties, turnovers, or Southlake's defense, just making some strong plays. So
Southlake punches the ball in, and I was correct on the score. It was Leesburg 26, Southlake 20 at that point in time. And Leesburg gets the ball back after the Southlake kickoff on their own 25. Nice run by Benton on one, but it fumbles the ball. Luckily for us, the ball bounced the right way. It doesn't always bounce the right way, but in that case it did. It bounced out of bounds. A couple key plays on that drive by the sophomore, Brian Jefferson, who's been playing well all year long.
Yes.
Ultimately ends up down to a touchdown pass to Jefferson, puts the Jackets up 34-20 on a Jordan Tucker two-point conversion.
Yeah, this is a great play there by Jefferson. Nice individual effort after he caught the ball. Unfortunately, that play was nullified by a penalty, and we brought that back. But then here's Andre Mitchum to Brian Jefferson for a huge touchdown, and then this is the two-point play there. That's Andre Mitchum to Jordan Tucker. So even though we had that penalty there, we were able to overcome it and still get in the end zone there with Jefferson having a nice catch there from Mitchum.
And it was nice to see Jordan Tucker get in there and score on the 2-point conversion. Guy that primarily plays defense, though we've seen him quite a bit more on offense in the fullback position. It didn't seem like he played quite as much in the Southlake game as in offense as he did in some of the prior games. But it was nice to see him getting there for the 2-point conversion.
Definitely, Jordan does a lot of good things. Very versatile player, offense, defense, and special teams. Primarily defense, as you said, and then does a great job on our coverage units and different units on special teams. But it's nice to see him get the ball in his hands and get there and score 2 points for us on that conversion. That was a big conversion for us.
So that puts the Jackets up 34-20. Nice two touchdown lead. However, Southlake gets the ball back. The defense is continuing to play hard, and Jordan Tucker is continuing to play great defensively. But ultimately, Southlake's able to punch the ball in for a touchdown on that drive.
Yeah, you see Southlake with a little razzle-dazzle and nice play there by our secondary. Wish we'd come up with a pick there. If we come up with a pick, then maybe we're able to take it in and make it a 3-touchdown game. But Southlake was able to, after that play, rip off a couple of nice plays for them, and then get into the end zone and really make it a ball game.
So the Jackets are up by a touchdown at that point, and like I said, Southlake had just scored the touchdown. Jackets have a 1-touchdown lead. Is key on offense to go out and eat some time off the clock, because at this point in time, there's a few minutes left in the game. Enough time for, if Southlake's able to force us to go 3 and out, for them to get the ball back and to punch in a quick score. The Jackets needed by that time. They come out on the shoulders of Benton with several key runs and are able to do it to run out the clock for the end of the game.
Yeah, you got to really credit the offensive line and Bryant Benton and the offensive players for doing a great job. That's a tough thing when you're at the end of the game and the other team knows that you're going to run the ball. They know that you're trying to eat the clock, to actually still go out there and do it. And you saw that Benton on a nice third and 6 play, making a nice run. The offensive line doing a good job, and then the last one there was a fourth and 3 or so play that we did not want to be in a situation where we had to punt or turn the ball over on downs. And so it was nice that the O-line was able to move some guys out of the way and allow Bryant to get the first down there.
So the Jackets win by a final score of 34-27 to keep the playoff hopes alive. We're going to get into next week's game in a few minutes, which is against Lake Weir, the Lake Weir Hurricanes, which is obviously going to be an important game too. Even though it's not a district game, the overall record, I think, is going to affect the tiebreaker situation, so that's an important game. You brought a couple of players here with you today. Who'd you bring?
Well, I brought Tanner Long and Chandler Strong. All right, so Tanner Long has been a very, very outstanding linebacker for us this year and special teams player as well, contributing there for us. And Chandler Strong has been a starter at our defensive end position, has had an excellent year as well. So both those guys, great young men, good students, and excellent representatives of the Leesburg Jacket football program.
All right, we're back with 2 senior Yellow Jacket players. We've got defensive end Chandler Strong and number 32 and linebacker Tanner Long. Both seniors for the Yellow Jackets, so the Strong and Long connection. You guys are pretty good buddies off the field too, right?
Yes, sir.
Well, Chandler, I was chatting with you a minute ago, and you said that you also play a couple other sports, or at least one other sport.
I play soccer.
Soccer. What position do you play in soccer?
I prefer to play in forward.
So you play forward in the soccer team, and you're a defensive end for the Jackets. Senior, obviously a big year for you as a senior. Any memorable moments thus far as the football team is concerned in your senior year?
Well, the game against Tavares is a big rivalry, and I'm glad we got the win against them, and all the district games we won are important to me.
Yeah, you guys have obviously made an interesting season out of it this year. It looked as though playoff hopes weren't alive, and now we've learned that there's a good chance you guys are going to get into some postseason play if all the chips fall into place. So we're looking forward to that. Did you participate in the senior night activities?
Yes, sir. I walked across the field with my mom, and it was a nice moment for me, and meant a lot.
Yeah, I've seen her there at just about every game that I can recall, at least home game, and she's always cheering you on and really proud. And so that's always a good thing. Tanner, you're a senior as well.
Yes, sir.
And you had mentioned something to me a minute ago as well that I thought was pretty unusual. You have a very large family.
Yes, sir.
I have 4 real brothers, and then I have 1 real sister, and then I have 5 stepbrothers.
So I'm surprised that you were able to beef up enough to play defensive or linebacker, having to fight for food like that in the house.
Yes, sir.
And I said that it's probably difficult for you guys to go out and get a meal somewhere. I'd hate to be your parents paying that tab.
Yeah, that doesn't happen too much.
So you're a linebacker. What do you like about playing linebacker?
Mostly just because you're always in the action of every play. Like run or pass, you're always defending something. I like it.
And you actually didn't start playing football until this year.
Yes, sir.
What led to that?
I've always just played baseball my whole life. I've always been stuck in baseball, and so I figured it's my senior year and might as well come out here and do what I do, you know.
You liking it so far?
Yes, sir.
So you're a pretty good baseball player, I take it then, if you've been playing all your life.
Yes, sir.
What position do you play on the baseball team?
I think I've played pretty much every position, but last year for the high school team, I played catcher most of the season. I do a little bit of pitching. So,
anything that stands out to you this year being your first year as a football player? Any differences between football and baseball, or just any moments in particular that stand out to you?
There's a lot more like family. Like the team feels like more of a family than the baseball team, because like we're together 24/7 all the time. But I'm just really happy that I've got this opportunity. So.
Well, we've enjoyed watching this year, guys. We appreciate you coming on the show today. We look forward to you guys going out and getting a big win against Lake Weir. And we also look forward to the season hopefully continuing if those things that we're hoping fall in place. And Coach and I have obviously chatted about that prior to this. But if those things fall into place, we look forward to some postseason play. Wish you guys the best of luck.
Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Thank you.
All right, Coach, we're back. It was certainly a pleasure to talk to Chandler and Tanner. They're certainly fine representatives of the football program and of Leesburg in general.
Indeed, they are good young men.
Well, this week, Coach, we've got Lake Weir. What can you tell us about them?
Well, Lake Weir is going to be an opponent that features a lot of speed. You know, offensively, a lot of speed. They're a team that can attack you from the I formation, but also spread and run 4 or 5 wides and really have some dynamic athletes out there. And then defensively, they're a team that really puts a lot of pressure on. You know, they blitz an awful lot, and they'll play some man coverage because they have some really good athletes. And they've played a very, very tough schedule. Their record isn't reflective of how good their football team is. They've played some really, really outstanding football teams. So we'll have our work cut out for us in going up to Lake Weir this week.
Well, Coach, we look forward to you going out and getting a victory against Lake Weir. We also look forward to hopefully avoiding the tiebreaker, but if not, coming out and watching the Jackets play. Do you have any idea if the tiebreaker does occur, what time that game would be on Monday? Because I think it would be at Leesburg, correct?
Well, yeah, if things work out in our favor, I mean, we would have to win this week. I think that would put us in a situation where we could be potentially hosting a tiebreaker, but I do not know at this point the time of that one. We just want to get ready and hopefully go out there and win this game against Lake Weir first.
That's probably well said. And so, Coach, we appreciate it. We'll see you next week, hopefully with a review of the Lake Weir game and a Yellow Jacket victory. We'd like to thank all the viewers for joining the Leesburg High Sports Buzz. I'm your host, Ashley Hunt. We'll join you next week on some recap of the Lake Weir game and hopefully talk about the playoff scenario for the Yellow Jackets. This program is made possible in part by a production grant from Phillips Buick GMC.
Want to save money servicing your vehicle? Visit Phillips Buick GMC, your Buick GMC certified service dealer. For oil changes, tire repairs, or maintenance, you get more than fast, reliable service. You get fair pricing and quality work done the first time by factory-trained technicians you can trust. And with 48 service bays, no appointments are necessary. Phillips Buick GMC, your Buick GMC certified service dealer, just south of the Villages.